Hello everyone, I'm Kalen North, and today we're going to be talking about basic strategies for the spirit Vital Strength of the Earth. Earth is a solid defense spirit, with a good ability to stall in the early game. They have an excellent top track and a mediocre bottom track. Because of this, we're going to use our defense and stalling to get through the early game, while ramping up our energy gain until we can switch to a major throwing strategy, where we gain majors and use them turn after turn. Without anything more, let's hop into the game. Invaders start in the sands, and we're going to start by following them into the sands. We start in the mountains and the jungles, and so I really like on turn 1, if I can, to grow into one of the wetlands or the sands. In this case, I'm going to gain a presence and 2 energy, or add a presence and gain 2 energy. And as said before, we're going to go start with our top track. To get enough energy to be able to pay for playing majors turn after turn later on. I'm going to go into land 6. Land 2 we're probably going to just let blight, because they are going to get up to 6 damage there, and the amount of effort it would take to prevent that blight is going to be so great that it's not worth it. In order to handle land 6, we're going to let them build. We're going to make a sacred site, and then let the town destroy itself in the ravage against that lone Dahan. As for what we play this turn, since we're letting land 2 go and we're going to defend land 6 using our special rule, we can actually just play Draw of the Fruitful Earth and set up a denial of wherever they explore next. So I'm going to hit finish playing cards, let the invaders build, and they explore in the jungles. Excellent. So, since land 2 is already going to be a problem, I'm going to go ahead and just gather those 2 explorers into land 2. I'm not going to bring any Dahan in because I'm not planning to defend it. And I'm going to let the turn pass. Turn 2, I'm going to gain our first major power card. Because we have only 1 presence in land 6 and we're going to add a presence at range 0, it's really beneficial to take growth 2 in this situation. Anytime we can gain a power card, just because it's hard to add presence at range 0, we really want to do it if possible. So let's gain a major. And here we have Poisoned Land, which deals a lot of damage but does add blight. It could be useful for handling land 2, especially in concert with Guard the Healing Land, which removes the blight. Cleansing Floods, which requires us to be in a wetland, which is already a problem. And we're not going to be able to threshold Cleansing Floods, so 4 damage and remove a blight for 5 energy is going to end up feeling a little overcosted here. Terrifying Nightmares is a nice control power. We're going to be able to gain some fear with it. We're going to be able to deny builds, potentially deny ravages. But I think the one I like the most here is Tsunami, because we're going to have enough energy to play it fairly soon, and it's going to solve land 2, which is right now our biggest problem. So I'm going to take Tsunami. I'm going to go ahead and forget Draw of the Fruitful Earth from my discard pile. And then I'm going to add a presence at range 0 from the top track again into land 6. Now, when growing from the top track, it's nice to grow to 4 or 6 energy before touching the bottom track, just because that way we can afford those expensive majors pretty easily. Especially if you're in a game against like a Brandenburg Prussia or something like that, switching to the plays track at this point would be pretty good. But at a base difficulty game or against like a slower adversary, I would recommend going all the way to 6 energy before you start moving on to the bottom track. So this turn, land 6 is handled, land 2 we're going to let go, we're going to accept that blight, and then we're going to follow up with Tsunami in order to completely wipe out land 2, unless they explore there again, which they actually can't because we're still in stage 1. So, finish playing cards. Invaders ravage in the sands. We take a blight, but we also take out a town here. They build in the jungles, which are empty, and they explore in the mountains. Tsunami, we get to play in land 2. Gives us some fear and destroys everything there. And now we have a much, much cleaner board to work with. In order to handle lands 3 and 7, I'm going to want to deny the build in land 7 so that they don't get a city there, and then set up a sacred site in land 3 in order to defend against the Invaders Ravage and counterattack with those Dahan. So this turn I want to either reclaim cards or add a presence and gain energy. Because I need the range in order to get into land 3. I'm going to go ahead and gain energy just because I don't plan to play Tsunami again this turn. So we're going to go from the top track one last time and go into land 3. And then I'm going to play Year of Perfect Stillness, our excellent stalling card, to prevent the build in land 7. We do get a Fear card here, which doesn't do anything for us, but that's fine. They build in the mountains, and they explore in the mountains, which is kind of nice. Year of Perfect Stillness cancels the explore as well there. And we're still going to be able to defend land 3 and get a full counterattack to take out everything, so that's going to be really nice for us as well. This turn, again, I want to grow at range 0, so I'm going to take advantage of that to gain a major power card. And we have another set of options here. Vengeance of the Dead causes some fear, but its effect is pretty weak, and so I'm not a huge fan of taking it in this situation. Entwined Power is really nice for getting extra power cards. It'll let us gain 2 minors or potentially 2 majors if we really needed to fish for a specific effect. But it's not going to do as much for us here because we are getting closer to the end of the game probably. If this had been the first major draw I'd seen, I would have been much more likely to take it. Vigor of the Breaking Dawn is an incredibly powerful card, but we're not going to be able to threshold it, and the lands that have Dahan in them, we generally are already going to be able to handle via counterattacks with our defense from our special rule. So Vigor isn't quite as good in this situation. Rapid Wings of Sunlight, however, always moves Dahan, and will be really effective at letting us get Dahan into land 7 for a counterattack so that we can take out that town in there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Rapid Wings of Sunlight, go to my discard pile, forget a Year of Perfect Stillness. It's done its work. We probably don't want to stall too much or we risk running out of the Invader deck. We want to focus more on fear and offense at this point. And then I'm going to add a presence from the bottom track this time into land 3. So, land 3 is solved. Land 7 is not going to blight, but isn't going to be able to counterattack. So we play Rapid Wings of Sunlight to fix that. We'll go to land 6 where we have a spare Dahan, move that Dahan to land 7 and get the extra defend, and then on the Ravage, the invaders will wipe themselves out in land 3 and take out the town in land 7. They build again in land 7, but land 7 is going to be handled again now because there's a Dahan there, and that'll take out the town on the counterattack. At this point, it's worth checking how far we are into the Fear deck. We're only 4 Fear away from Terror level 2, which would win us the game. We do have the potential to generate some Fear with Tsunami, although not a huge amount. 2 Fear plus whatever we get from destroying the invaders. So I'm actually going to go ahead and gain another major power card and see if I can get something that'll just generate enough Fear for us to win outright. I'm going to build a Sacred Site in land 4 this turn. And not really quite what we were looking for, but that's fine. Power Storm is an excellent major. Lets us duplicate whatever our best card is. Dissolve the Bonds of Kinship is nice, especially if you've got a built-up land that you really want to try and get rid of some buildings in. Mists of Oblivion is not really thrilling because we're probably not going to be playing it with other damage cards and we're probably not going to get the threshold. So unless we have a land that somehow has a huge number of explorers in it, it's really not going to be worth it. Infinite Vitality is great for lands in which we already have Dahan and where we want to prevent blight, but if we don't have Dahan in those lands already, it's really underwhelming. So here I'm going to take Power Storm because I think it's by far the most useful of these cards. And then I'm going to go ahead and forget... we have Rapid Wings of Sunlight, so that's a really good mobile defense card. And I don't think we're really too worried about cleaning up Blight at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and forget Guard the Healing Land. I'm going to add another Presence, which will let us play 2 cards this turn. And I'm going to play Power Storm and Rituals of Destruction, because that's what we've got left. So Power Storm on ourselves, which will let us loop Rituals of Destruction in the slow phase. Finish using powers. And we get defend 3 in all coastal lands, which doesn't really help us. All right, we take out the town in land 7. Land 3 took care of itself again. Invaders build in the 2 coastal lands and explore in the wetlands. And now we can use Rituals of Destruction to take out the town in land 1. And we can't, unfortunately, target land 2 because of the lack of Dahan in it. So I'm just going to use it to take out that explorer in land 5. This turn, then, we're going to reclaim. We need 2 fear. I like to continue growing from the bottom track at this point, getting up to 3 card plays. If I really want to be playing a lot of majors that are expensive, then I'm more inclined to go from the energy track again at this point. But I'd rather get to 3 card plays if that's possible at all. So I'm going to grow into the wetland, and I'm going to use Rapid Wings of Sunlight to try and take out the town in land 2. I'm also going to play Tsunami to just hopefully win us the game in the slow phase because of the extra fear. And we'll go from there. So, Rapid Wings of Sunlight, move 2 Dahan into land 2, and give us defend 5. Invaders Ravage. Invaders build in the wetlands, which does nothing. And invaders explore in the jungle. So, I'm going to target this jungle with an Overkill Tsunami, just for the fear. And that gets us the win as we hit Terror level 2. So that's the Majors build of Earth. I think it's a powerful strategy. I think it scales reasonably well. You can have a good deal of success, especially at lower difficulties, with going for card plays first and using more of your starting hand, whereas we tended to just forget most of our starting cards in order to get more Majors. But yeah. If you have feedback on the video, if there's things that you would have done differently, if you have questions, let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.